We've just finished the Paso Doble on Saturday Night Live on television, and to millions of people. And I've got through. I'm so happy. And he says, "Can I have a word with you outside?" And I think he's going to tell me that I've been booked for Michael McIntyre's big show on BBC One.
Another
so
huge
to the
show.
American viewers, the people in North America around the world, Michael McIntyre is our Seinfeld. He is the the main man, the phenomenal comedian, and that's BBC One. That's prime time. That's the dream. I'm going to do stand-up comedy on Michael McIntyre's big show. So I'm walking out thinking, how do I act surprised when he tells me? Because I think this is pretty much nailed on. And then he says, 20 minutes ago you got a photograph went up online of you kissing Kasia outside a pub. So then life flips, and you don't do Michael McIntyre's big show. You do trigonometry.
Hello and welcome to TRIGGERnometry. I'm Francis Foster.
I'm Konstantin Kisin.
And this is a show for you if you want honest conversations with fascinating people.
Our brilliant guest today is a fantastic British comedian, Seann Walsh. Welcome to TRIGGERnometry.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I didn't know where to look when you were doing that bit.
Yeah.
You were talking to the camera.
Yeah.
What?
There's some people watching.
No, I know, but where do I look?
Look at us.
You look at us, mate.
No, I know. I look at you now.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what to do when you were looking at that.
Yeah.
What do people normally do when you're doing that bit? Watch you do that.
Yeah.
Right, I felt uncomfortable.
Do you want to do it again?
No, I really don't want to do it again. I started looking at the poster. I was like, maybe I should just look around the room. Okay, but we're fine now.
We're fine now.
Okay, good.
It's good to have you on, man. So we've got a big international audience. So for them, you've had a great mainstream career. You were on all the big comedy shows in this country, Mock the Week, Live at the Apollo, 8 out of 10 Cats, and now you're here. So you done fucked up, my brother.
No, this is the peak. This is the peak. This is what we're all aiming for.
So let's just, for people who don't know, you just tell a little bit about your story, growing up, getting into comedy.
Why I'm here. How I've ended up here.
Exactly. That is exactly the question.
So been doing comedy now for 15 years.
Yeah.
Always wanted to be a comedian. Was doing stand-up in the playground as a kid, Lovely Evans, all of that stuff. It's all I ever really wanted to do. And I've now been doing it professionally, as I say, for 15 years, and was very lucky, did all the big shows. And
you had a lot of early success, didn't you?
I suppose I did. It's weird, you don't say that about yourself.
But I said it about you.
You said it about me, but you also don't. I think as I've gotten older, I've got a bit more comfortable with it. And you can look back retrospectively and go, oh God, I think what I was doing was that was quite extraordinary for someone in their mid-20s to be doing those things.
Early 20s, you were.
Early mid, 23.
And not to keep interrupting you, but Mock the Week back then was very different to Mock the Week now. It had a way bigger audience.
I remember when I did the first time I did Mock the Week, it went out when I was at the Edinburgh Festival. And I think I was either 23 or 24, and I was doing what any 23, 24-year-old, was doing. I was getting completely shit-faced. And I got on, when Mock the Week went out, my first ever Mock, like you say, it was the days of Frankie Boyle. I went out the night before. So I went out the night it went out, and then I was locked out. And the flat we had was on, what's one of the main roads in Edinburgh that crosses the bridge, like Nielsen Street or something? Nicholson Street. The flat was in Nicholson Street. I was locked out and I fell asleep outside the front door of Nicholson Street using bin bags as pillows. And people were stepping over me to go to work. I thought, what must they have been thinking? Like, that's the guy from Mock the Week. He's homeless.
Yeah.
The guy. So yes, I was very young, and I was doing those things. And then fast forward, did Strictly Come Dancing, which in America is Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks in, got 3 weeks quite famously got undermarked for my Paso Doble.
That was one of the things that happened.
That was I did think we were undermarked.
Yeah.
No, I got photographed. Someone very kindly photographed me and my dance partner kissing, and I was in a relationship and she was married.
Yeah.
And that was over 3 years ago now. And there was quite the There was quite...
Well, you were on the front page of The Sun, which is the biggest tabloid in this country, as far as I know, for 12 days in a row.
I think it was 12 days, yeah.
What was that like? Just going from... Because, I mean, you were nailing it. Well, you know, for the first few weeks, you know, you were doing
I was having the time of my life.
You were smashing it. And, you know, it was all, you know...
Well, I genuinely think we were... I mean, I know this is not what you've got me here for, but I think we were undermarked for the tango and undermarked for the paso doble. And I'm saying that. I'm putting it out there. No, it was going really, really well. Look, you kind of... You get into comedy. I don't know what you guys got into this for, but I got into it. I wanted to make people laugh, and I wanted to make as many people laugh as I possibly could. And now I was on the biggest show on television, and people seemed to like me, and I was having fun. I was dancing. I was doing this thing that no one expected me to do. It's not the kind of thing, if you've seen my act or you know me, you wouldn't associate me with a show like that. But I was having the time of my life, and it was, who knows what would have happened had, or where, you know, how far that we would have got.
And it's one of the few shows that still on television has a huge audience. So if you come across well and people like you, you're gonna be touring to huge.
Stop reminding me.
But you've done a special about that thing. So I'm kind of taking you through some of the stuff you talk about, because this was the dream. Right?
Yes.
And then 3 weeks in, you know, this thing's happened. You get caught, essentially, in this.
Photographed.
And then your agent taps you on the shoulder, goes, can we just pop outside? I've got something to tell you. You go there.
And specifically, I think it kind of heightens the drama. And you know, 95... When I'm joking in the show, it's clear that I'm joking. But everything else is really what happened. He says, is it all right to have a word with you outside? We've just finished the Paso Doble on Saturday Night Live on television, and you know, to millions of people, and I've got through. I'm so happy, and he says, "Can I have a word with you outside?" And I think he's going to tell me that I've been booked for Michael McIntyre's big show on BBC One.
Another
so
huge
to the
show.
American viewers, like, or you know, the people in North America around the world, Michael McIntyre is our Seinfeld. He is the the main man. Phenomenal comedian, and that's BBC One, that's prime time. That's the dream. I'm going to do stand-up comedy on Michael McIntyre's big show. So I'm walking out thinking, how do I act surprised when he tells me? Because I think this is pretty much nailed on. And then he says, as I say in the show, he says, you know, 20 minutes ago you got a photograph went up online of you kissing Kasia outside a pub. So their life flips, and you don't do Michael McIntyre's big show. You do TRIGGERnometry. But it's nice to be able to kind of... I will say this, and you know, I don't know where this interview is going to go, but doing that show, the assumption people make and even have made about that show is that it would seem as if it would be cathartic, and I think it was kind of cathartic on the first few goes.
Yeah.
You do that show, you tell your story, and I told it. I think I was doing that show up to like I don't know, 4 months after it happened, or 3. I wrote it in a month.
Really?
I went to LA.
Wow.
Because and not to be showbiz, I went away because I couldn't write it here. It was, you know, I couldn't gig here. I couldn't.
Well, I know that feeling. You're walking around thinking, well, that person has looked at me. Do they know me? Like it's really uncomfortable.
It's horrific. It's really horrific. So you're sitting on the tube and someone gives you a look and it's, oh God, they hate me. You're not going to be able to write a show in that in that state of mind. So I went away, so I came back and it worked. People seemed to be laughing at the show, and you felt like, wow, and there was this kind of how do you pronounce it?
Self-congratulating?
Yeah. No, that wasn't it.
No. Self-congratulate. No.
Yes!
It's contagious.
Yeah.
Self-congratulatory. Okay, I was impressed with myself. But you then had to repeat this story every night on tour and then take it to Edinburgh and repeat what was at the time the most horrific thing I'd ever been through and hope that I ever go through, and repeat that every night, and people were laughing. It was oh God, there were periods where in Edinburgh where I was like, they would laugh, and there'd be a moment where I'd just turn around and I'd have my back to the crowd, and I would just be turning around and going, and then coming back. But what was so nice about the recording is it was 3 years afterwards, and it kind of heightened how ludicrous the whole thing was. And actually, I had a lot of fun doing the show. So it's really nice that the recording of the show was actually enjoyable for me. I really loved doing it. Right. Whereas if we had recorded the show in the heat of it, you would have had a man pretending that he wanted to be there, and I didn't want to be there.
What's it like being in the heat of that, in the eye of that media storm? What is that like to pick up an edition of The Sun or a copy of The Sun, and your face is on the front cover with some ridiculous headline? That must have been awful.
Well, I think these things are a lot more pernicious than you expect. So you kind of emotionally deteriorate.
Deteriorate. That's what we can do. Deteriorate.
But at the time, there's too much adrenaline. To actually take in what's happening. You don't see the front page and go, this is awful. You can't believe what it is that you're going through. You're in shock, to be honest. And what I thought was maybe interesting as a show was that I was now living, like you see the tabloids. I don't read the tabloids, but whenever I see the tabloids, it's usually going into a petrol station on tour, and they're out in those boxes, those weird boxes with the clear screens. And then you have a glance. You have a glance, and you carry on with your life. And you never think about that thing that you've glanced at ever again. And suddenly, I was the thing that you glance at and never think about again. And yet, I was going to have to think about this every day, forever. The distance between glancing at that story and being in that story was so massive that I can't believe that thing that I glance at feels like this. So when you've just glanced at that story, whatever it is, you're like, oh my God, that person's whole life has collapsed. And it's just something that I go, and now I'm being that. And I thought that maybe, I was like, do people know that story they're glancing at is like, is the destruction of someone's life? Do they know that? And I thought, they probably don't, because I didn't. And I thought maybe that'll be the show. I'll kind of go, because it's not normally a stand-up comedian that's centered to those stories. So I kind of uniquely have an opportunity to kind of tell this story, which most people, if you were a singer, all right, you might write a song, but you're not going to be able to capture that nuance and that kind of, perhaps that trauma in a song in 3 minutes. But I'll have an hour to kind of demonstrate what this was like. It was a kind of outer body experience. Unless you're looking at it was you got the physical paper itself, which I didn't really ever see, by the way. I saw the first one on that Sunday. I did see that when I popped into a shop, but after that I never really saw the front cover. It was all on the internet, and it was just.
Were you able to switch off? Because I had something on a smaller scale, but like I know your phone is filled up with fucking journalists going, oh, can we get messages, and Twitter is going mental and all of that. Were you able to switch off from that, or was that?
No. Is it? No. It would just. I mean, I'm much. Obviously, it's been 3 years. I'm much better than I was. But I mean, it was. I'd been kind of traumatized by the whole thing. It was all I thought about on just a constant basis. Like, we would be talking, and then maybe if you left and I was on my own, it would just go back to that, and I would relive all of the tweets, and I would relive all of the things that people had said about me, and it just echoed. I couldn't sleep at night. It would just be there. It was. By the way, I should say, sometimes when I end up talking about this publicly, what happened, the response to it a lot of the time, unfortunately, is, look at him, he's now playing the victim. I go, no, I'm not playing the victim. I'm being asked a question of what it was like. I'm telling you what the punishment felt like. And there'll be people that go, good. I mean, I've had people say, good, I'm glad you went through that. But it was... and fine, you know, whatever. But I'm not, I have to be clear. It's very important. I'm not looking for sympathy. You've got to enter a place in your life where you've got to try and not care about what people, and it's so hard, especially with what we do, because you're trying to go on stage and you want people to like what you say, laugh and like you and have a good time. You know, like I say in the show, what happened was the opposite of what I was looking for. I didn't want people to hate me. So what it's done is it's kind of made me try and build this wall, which I'm not doing very well, of not caring what people think. So I'm not looking for anyone's sympathy. You know, I've got to not care what they think, which is hard. It's really hard because you just want people. I mean, I don't know. The problem is I'm now at the stage of my life where I know, you know, I mainly know comedians. I'm that guy. And so we've got a thing where we want to go up and be liked. It's really odd and quite frankly, mental. But I don't know if, you know, that would apply to someone that didn't do comedy. Would you go, I think people just want to be liked, don't they?
Yeah, of course we do.
It's lovely. It's really nice. Like, you know, like people go, I like you. You go, I like you. It's great. It's lovely. You love it. You know, it happens less and less.
We don't get that much.
But yeah, I'm so sorry.
We knew what we were getting into. But let me ask you this, because look, my wife and I met when we were 18. Been together since. So I am exactly the sort of person that would judge you for what happened.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But you joke about it in the show. You say, look, guys, it's been 3 years and I think I can say this. You overreacted. And it's presented in a beautiful joke and it's funny.
Thank you.
And I would say even the type of person that would normally judge you, I mean, the reaction to what happened wasn't, and this isn't about making you play the victim or...
No, yeah.
But it was absurd, wasn't it? Look at the prime minister of this country, right? The prime minister, an elected politician, keeps cheating on his wives and whatever. And he's the prime minister.
Yeah.
And
can you say that? Will that have to get cut?
No, yeah, we're fine. And here's a comedian.
Yeah.
Look, it's not morally the right thing to do, but was that the proportionate response to what happened?
Well, the thing is, you know, obviously I went through it, so
you're a little bit biased.
Totally. There's a bit of bias here.
Yeah.
No, in terms of what the tabloids decided to write, you sign a contract, don't you, with the devil? As you go, I'm going to go on the biggest show on television, and it's a family show, isn't it? I mean, obviously, we didn't do that on the show.
That would have been.
It was outside of it. I mean, that would have, yes, that. Yeah.
Think of the ratings.
But you know, outside of the show, and there was a photo as well. You know, everyone says that about. You know, people have done this before and people have done worse, but they didn't have a photo.
Right.
Sort of, you know, can you imagine what these journalists?
It's like the Matt Hancock thing. There was a video.
Yeah.
And so that makes it that
in
much
a corridor. There was CCTV, wasn't it?
Yeah. That makes it that much worse. The little ass grab and all that. You know, it adds flavor.
Hang on, did I do it? Did he do it?
No, he did.
Oh, actually, we have a photo of Seann.
Don't make me. We have the photo here. Oh my God.
Just get it up on the big screen.
Oh no.
I've never thought about that, but the photo you think is part of why it went as big as it did. Right.
No, of course.
Right.
Of course. And I honestly, by the way, this isn't a kind of change of heart. This is the tabloids. what you have to realise is, although I had done all these stand-up shows, I don't think the public, I wasn't a kind of BBC One face. The public didn't really know who I was. So they might say they knew my name, they knew the guy with the long hair and the nasally voice, the really irritating voice, who sounds like he smokes 40 a day, him. Like, they didn't actually know who I was. So what you do then is your whole personality and your whole identity is up for grabs. Because anyone can write anything about you, because this is now how the public are going to find out about you. They've got no preconception. They can't go, I don't know about that. I don't reckon he's like that. I watched him on a documentary and he kind of seemed like a nice guy. You know, the way you have a familiarity with, say, Ant and Dec, for example, you got that warm Saturday night, you feel like you know them. So if something is written about them, you kind of got this judgment that you can make about the person. I don't know. I'm not sure I buy that. The only information you were getting about me as a person, as a human being, was through what was being written about me. So what are people expected to do if this guy has cheated on his girlfriend, he's kissed his dance partner, his photograph, and then every article is about how much of a cunt he is? Well, there was no opposition to that. What am I meant to do? Am I meant to come out and tweet? No, hang on. Sorry, I know I did that, but actually I'm a nice guy. I can't do that. And there was going to be no journalist that was going to do that for me. So the tabloids are running that story. If you get caught kissing your dance partner, this is what will happen. So we could talk about it was blown out of proportion. But I was on the biggest show, and you could, with all the things going on in the world, how comes that you're on the front page for 12 days doing this? Well, because it's celebrity culture. This is what people find interesting. Maybe not you and I, but this is what people seemingly, evidently, are into. We're into people's private lives, and what is there anything more fun than reading about how much of a cunt someone is? Absolutely not. So people are going like, oh, fuck, look, he's a cunt. Look, read it. Look, there's another story. There's a photo of him being a cunt, and every photo. I mean, they did manipulate my personality a lot, and they kind of did, they really zoned in on the alcohol, which I felt, at the time, was unfair. But, I bloody loved a drink. I've not drank now in a long time, but I did love a drink. But they would just get pictures of me, like, just sat outside a cafe, and then they would screen, they would kind of get that snapshot of when you're blinking. So then the shot is just this.
With a pint.
Yeah, with a pint. So it just looked, every photo I looked absolutely hammered. And I wasn't. And I wasn't really doing anything that anyone in my kind of position or age would have, I went out and I had too much of a good time, that's for sure. But it wasn't the tabloid, believe it or not, it wasn't really. Yes, I felt like I was being attacked. Naturally, you're gonna, if everyone keeps writing about you, it's fucking terrifying if you've never been through anything like it. It was more, I think probably what hurt more was just everyone, not everyone, but it felt like there wasn't much, do I want to say, not defense of me, but just...
Was it a loss of control you felt, Seann? In that we all cultivate our image. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, totally.
Yeah, so we cultivate our image.
And especially comics.
Yeah.
We go out and you've got the allotted time to go, this is what I'm like. And yeah, I completely lost that control, and everyone else was deciding who I was. Yeah, it was absolutely that I suppose that strange loss of control. Because you do have a control in real life when you meet people. There's an element of control that you have. If I want this person, I want to get on with this person. I will, and maybe not necessarily consciously, but I will be this version of myself. If you don't like someone, you know, I tell you now, you could meet. I always think, but someone was saying to me, I worked on a sitcom with Jack D. It was wonderful. It was like dream come true stuff. I was in Jack D's sitcom, and I was recently with someone on it, and he was so nice. He was talking about, you know, how enthusiastic I was, and kind of saying how nice it was to work with me, and we all had an amazing time. I was in such a good place. I was in Jack D's sitcom. I mean, that is the dream. And then I thought, oh, that's so weird, because, and I said to him, no, I'm not. It's really funny. You keep saying how cheerful I am. I'm not cheerful. I was having a good. You got cheerful me because I was having a great time. I go, you could talk to someone that worked with me on a thing where I wasn't enjoying myself. Yeah. You'd be talking about two completely different human beings. You'd be going, I know Seann. Seann's nothing like that. There are different shapes and sizes to all of us. So it was so strange to just completely lose, like you're saying, all of that.
Hey Konstantin, do you like shopping?
No, in Russia you skin bear with your bare hands and wear it. Obviously this is for men only. Women and small children are allowed to use knife.
Where did you get your blazer from?
It's made out of bear. Babushka created it for me using nothing but her own bare hands. No pun intended.
I wondered what the smell was, but for those of you who do want an easy, no-hassle solution to the grind of going shopping, then Stitch Fix is for you.
Stitch Fix is a service for both men and women and makes shopping for clothes easy. To get started, go to stitchfix.co.uk/trigger to set up your profile.
They'll deliver clothes chosen just for you, in your taste, size and budget. And by taste, they mean something that will look good, instead of showing the world you're having a midlife crisis like me.
The items you buy arrive at your door a few days later. You try everything on at home, decide what to keep, and then send anything else back. It's so easy. You just pay £10 each time you order, which is credited towards the items you keep, and you'll get 20% off when you keep all 5 items.
There's no subscription, plus shipping, returns, and exchanges are easy and free. Stitch Fix does the hard work for you, making shopping for clothes easy and hassle-free. Get started today at stitchfix.co.uk/trigger and get 20% off when you keep all 5 items.
Can you order fresh Siberian bearskin from Stitch Fix?
Possibly. Go to stitchfix.co.uk/trigger to find out. And then there was a reaction that you had, which was a physical reaction, which was the opening to the special, which is actually, I mean, you present it in a comedic manner, and it is funny, but it's fucking awful.
Well, after that, it ended up triggering a lot of. I had a lot of panic attacks after that. Really, really bad. I'd had panic attacks in my early 20s, but that was mainly just to chain smoking. 10 cups of black coffee a day, Jaeger bombs at night. You know, I didn't know what caffeine did. Yeah. And I just, in my early 20s, like, you know, having panic attacks and then going to the doctors and him going, so how much coffee did you say? Yeah. No, about 10 cups of coffee. Yeah. He's like, I don't think you should be doing that. That's what's bringing on the panic attacks. But cut to coming out of that, there was a physical reaction. It was just, I still get them occasionally when something in my head triggers and takes me back to it all. I just feel overwhelmed and you have a physical kind of, everything spins and you kind of collapse. It's horrific, but I hope that I hope that was no one's goal. That's just. Yeah, that was just me being. I'm not someone that's really built for. I think there are comedians right now that exist that seem to thrive off like conflict on the internet. You know, that people say bad things about them and they thrive off it and they go off it.
Talking about me, mate.
Is it you? Do you get? I can't. Do you really do you? You thrive. The hatred. Someone hates me. This is fantastic. Like, no, I just go, oh God, someone hates me. This is absolutely horrific.
But I think it's a good point. I think
I never wanted to be liked, Seann. Yeah. That's the difference.
What are you? Are you joking?
No, I never wanted to be liked.
What do you mean?
And I never wanted to be liked.
What?
I don't care if you like me. I care if what I'm saying is true, or if it's funny, or if it's well written. And if you don't like it,
no one's going to laugh at your thing if they don't like you.
No, they will. So
no, I don't think that's
you don't
impossible.
think so?
You can't go and watch it. No. Think about it in life. Forget comedy. We're at an event, we're at a gathering, someone you hate, sat opposite you at a table.
Oh, true.
That person says something funny. There's no way you're laughing.
That's a good correction. So what I mean...
It's all about... Jack D said, back when he did... I never forget it. I just started and I watched Jack on Mark Lawson on BBC 4, and Jack D said comedy is 80% likable.
Yeah,
likability.
you're right.
That never left me.
You're right.
Look at someone like Rob Beckett.
Yeah.
I love Rob to bits. Look at, like, he's a brilliant comedian, but look, you just love him.
Yeah.
I've been in his company. He's just a great guy to be around. He's making people laugh. That's
You're
the
right.
juice.
Here's where I think we're talking past each other. I think you're exactly right. No, you're exactly right. We're just having the conversation. Online, though, there's a difference because very often the things that make some people really, really like you are also...
Online, did you say?
Online.
Yeah, right.
Are also the thing that makes some people really, really hate you.
Okay, fair enough.
So if
Yeah, I see
I'm
what you're saying.
online making a joke that's articulating the point of view of 80% of the population in a funny way, and 20% of the population really, really, really hate that,
yes,
that's where you end up, right? And I have no problem with the 20% hating me if I'm articulating something in a funny way that makes people laugh and people feel that their point of view about the world is being validated by somebody who's got an audience.
It's also dependent as well on the style of comedy that you do. For example,
yes, exactly. Yeah, I talk about microwaves.
Yeah. I was always quite political and satirical in what I do.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're going to tackle a subject that is contentious, that gets people het up, whatever it may be, and you tackle it, and it may be a brilliant routine, there's people going to be, oh, it's punching down, this is disgraceful, you can't say that, you're laughing at X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing a brilliant routine about microwaves,
Yeah.
most people aren't going to get that reaction, although there will always be a couple.
Yeah. Take issue with it.
Why is he fucking talking about microwaves?
See, Seann, this is why I asked you about proportionality, because one of the things we've explored on the show, as you know, people who've got cancelled for a joke, or who've got cancelled for saying the wrong thing, and it certainly feels to me like in the modern climate, people are we're having disproportionate reactions to things that people say and do, right? Whereas you got 90s cancelled for like an old school thing.
I got 90s cancelled.
You know, like that's what people used to get cancelled for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, like I knew we were gonna brush on the topic of cancel culture, but I mean,
I'm not trying to lead you to any path.
No,
I just want
not.
your
Oh
opinion.
God, no. Don't worry about that. No, it's fine. No, but the thing is, I say I'm cancelled in the show, and I think that after Strictly Come Dancing, after the kiss, it's the entertainment business, guys. Yeah. They got to like you. You can, and if everything that has been written about you is pointing people in the direction that, well, we don't like this guy. And I think I've always, just as a person, kind of suffered with that. I think, kind of long hair, looked confident, was never confident, but looked confident. There's kind of, people didn't, I always remember being really envious of Josh Widdicombe. A great comic, but that you just loved Josh. I remember being in a room, people just took to Josh, just warm and so likable, and then I was there just kind of miserable and hungover and fucked off with everything. That I just think that I certainly, when I was younger, lent myself to kind of being disliked. I think I was just a kind of dislikable person.
See, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't agree with that. I tell you what it is for me. Like, I remember when I started in comedy, and you were already on the ascendancy. You were this young, good-looking guy who would come out and just crush gigs, and then there'd be Because for the rest of us, it took us time to find out what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But you seem to come out fully formed. I remember Paul Ricketts saying that the first time I ever saw you gig, it was like your 10th gig, and he said, I don't know what it is, but Seann had it.
I think hey, when I was started out,
Yeah.
I there's been enough time since now and then that I think that look, I'd been studying, I'm not joking, it's in the show, I was doing stand-up in the playground. I didn't do homework at school. Teachers put the homework down and I would say, it's okay, I'm going to be a film star. I wouldn't do the homework.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be Jim Carrey. That was my obsession. I just thought, I'm going to be a comedian. I don't need to know. I mean, it's really not helped. I'm thick as shit. I know nothing because all I wanted to do was be a comedian.
Yeah.
And so when I started, people go, guys, is this only his 10th gig? No, you don't understand. This is all I thought about.
Like Robin Williams talked about that. There's a few other comics who, just as 10-year-olds, they were practicing 8 hours a day.
In the mirror. Right, see this. I don't think I do this. Do I do this in the show? You watched it recently,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where, you know this, with the eyebrows?
No, I don't think
No,
you did
you
that.
didn't
no.
do that.
So, yeah, I think I cut out, we only had an hour. When I first saw Ace Ventura, I'd go in The Mask, which I think only released in like a year apart. Doing that with the eyebrows, I would go in, it's so easy now, it just comes to me. I couldn't do that. I would, as a kid, 10-year-old, in the mirror, would put both eyebrows up, hold one down, and just do this for ages, so that there was just one eyebrow, and then do it with the other. And that was hours and hours in front of the mirror, training to do that with my eyebrow. It wasn't my 10th gig. I'd been, in my head, I'd been doing this forever. And I would go to the Comedia, the local comedy club in Brighton, every Sunday on my own. I would turn up and it would be that weird kid that was coming to the club every Sunday on his own. They just started letting me in.
Yeah.
They started to go, oh, it's you. Yeah, don't worry about it, just walk in. But I think what happened was, this is so strange thinking back over my career, where I did get a lot, quite early on, a lot of television. I think it did me a lot of bad. And again, I sound like I'm being very ungrateful. I'm not ungrateful. It's amazing, some of the things I've done. I think it was probably too much for me to handle at such a young age. And I think it destroyed a lot of my confidence. It destroyed a lot. It was so mad, right? It was just naivety. It wasn't even arrogance. I suppose it was. When you're young, I literally just thought, I'll have a sitcom. I thought I'll have this, and then I started doing TV, and I was way out of my depth. When I'm not doing stand-up, but doing like the panel show, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And suddenly, the doubt comes in. And I never really doubted myself before. And then when you first get that doubt, I don't know. I'm not just saying, because people go, oh. But when those first 3 weeks of Strictly, I felt like I did at the beginning of my stand-up career, and I felt like I've got it back. And this is it.
Right.
And because that doubt that I kind of developed in my mid-20s, and I think that's why I drank a lot as well. I think I just suddenly, I couldn't really I felt like at such a young age, I won't name him because he was saying privately, but there's a friend of ours, he's not a lovely young comic. He's been going since he was 18. He's one of these guys. So he's only 25 now. I'm with him. He's talking about regret. He's talking about the mistakes he's made. And I'm like, it hurts me so much. I'm like, man, you're 25. Like, you've not made any mistakes. There's steps. Come on, snap out. You can't. And because I was there, I was 25 fucking years of age going, I fucked it. I've ruined it. I've completely ruined it. And I just wish that I wish I'd handled that better, kind of got myself up, dusted myself down. Come on. And I really, it ate me a lot. That.
See, a lot of people are watching this and they've seen panel shows on TV.
Yeah.
And the thing that is created is very, very different from what actually happens.
Yeah.
What was it like doing that and thinking, I'm not doing well here?
Oh, God, fucking hell. It's just like, man, I did a show. I had my own TV show on Comedy Central called Seann Walsh World. And it was an internet clip show. And I did this show, and it was just, like, it went, this was before trolling, the phrase trolling. This is another straight. How old are you?
I'm 39.
You're 39, 36.
Yeah. 39.
39, right? So how long have you been going?
I did it for about 5 years. I haven't done it since the pandemic. I haven't done stand-up.
Wow.
So we do comedy here. We write
I bet
stuff.
your anxiety's down, isn't it? Is that nice?
Mate, I'm loving it. And the travel. For me, it was the travel, actually.
Oh, God.
For me, it was the travel. When the pandemic started and the lockdown came, I was like,
I loved lockdown.
yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, I bet you did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was lovely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Seann, can I come back though to the whole cancel culture? No, but it's great.
All I was going to say, this is what my point was going to be. I joke about being cancelled.
Yeah.
I still, since Strictly, have done bits and bobs on telly. I've not been, and I tour, and so I've not been cancelled. But did it make it harder for me to get work?
You lost a shit ton of work.
I lost a shit ton of work.
So this is what I'm getting at. And look, from your personal point of view, from your mental health point of view, you got to own what you did. And you got to process that, and you got to learn from that, and you're going to grow from that. And I know that you've done that. Right? So I'm not trying to get you to say, oh, I was cancelled.
I know you're not.
I was treated so badly. And,
I know you're not.
You got to be a man and own it, because that you fucked up, and then the consequences inevitably are on you.
Yes.
However, right? I'm talking about broader society, right? The broader culture.
Yeah.
Do we want to live in a society where someone does what you did, or someone makes a bad joke, or someone says the wrong thing, or someone, is slightly insensitive about a minority group that now we're very focused on, and then people who they've been working with for 5, 10, 15 years suddenly go, oh, you know what? You're untouchable now. Is that the society that we should be living in, is what I'm getting at?
Okay, yeah, so, but should be living in, or do you think we are living in that?
We're definitely not living in a society where people are forgiven for mistakes they make, right?
Well, hang on.
Would you disagree?
Well, actually, do you know? And believe it or not, because I thought when I was coming on, I was like, "Fucking hell, I don't think about this kind of stuff." I was going to say enough, but it's not enough.
You don't need to.
I don't really have these discussions outside of this. But I would, when I hear that question, I think forgiveness takes time. You can't. If someone's done something wrong, you can't just do something wrong and then go, oh, we've got to forgive him. People fuck up. Let's crack on. I think you've got to. Have we got any examples? I mean, me.
Well,
for
example,
me as an example, right? And I'm happy to do that. I've recently did Catherine Ryan's new stand-up show. It's going out on Amazon, and that wouldn't have happened 6 months after Strictly. No way. You go fuck off. We're not having him on the show.
Yeah,
but we have time. I think people go, I think he's learned his lesson, hasn't he? And now I'm kind of slowly getting work again, and it's really, things are going really well. I just think they take time. I don't know of anyone that's been, is there an example of anyone that's done something where they haven't kind of been forgiven or let
Andrew
back
Lawrence, Alistair Williams, Chris McGlade. I mean, I can keep going. There's a lot of people.
But
Bill Cosby.
There you go. There's one. But
Louis C.K. Not defending any of these people.
I know you're not defending them.
No, I know you're not. And Bill Cosby was a joke, to be clear, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying it for them.
For them, because there'll be someone going, he's defending Bill Cosby.
God. Okay, right.
But the other, and look, Louis C.K. But does that mean his career should be ruined forever?
But hang on, guys. It's not. He's released 2 specials that you can pay for and watch on the internet.
Yeah.
And I imagine he's making hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of dollars off that.
Yeah.
So, all right, like he's laughing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, that's a little bit different, because has he still got the same career that he had before? Does
he? He still sells out all those massive rooms, doesn't he?
But this is what the conversation is really about for me. It's like, people will say, and perhaps there's some truth to it, that if you get cancelled and you make a big stink about it, you can benefit from it, right? People will say that. And I think if you play your cards right, that is true. That is true. You can be cancelled.
I'm the cancelled guy.
Yeah,
sure.
And that's definitely true. There's definitely an element to that. But there's also other people for whom that's really not true, who really never recover from that. And I've given you an example of a few. Now, Chris McGlade, for example, I don't know if you know anything about him.
No, I don't.
He's a sort of anyway. We won't get
into
into
Scottish guy.
He's northern, same thing.
Okay, north of Watford.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Yeah. Okay. I think I've heard.
Yeah. So basically, he had a poem in the show which said something about the Rothschilds, and it happened to have been a bad moment for race relations, and then he had all his shows cancelled from the theatre. And the only reason he's still even gigging, and maybe he was suicidal. Right?
Yeah,
he came on this show,
I can imagine, yeah.
And he got a few of our fans supporting him, and now he's got a tour, and he's coming back on the show soon to talk about it. So that's worked out for him. But that's what's happened to him is massively disproportionate to the crime. And that's what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah. Well...
And Sean, again, I'm not trying to get you to say anything that you don't believe.
Honest, no, I'm just that inhale is just me trying to kind of form an opinion immediately. I think it is the outrage always feels disproportionate, but this is where we are now with social media. The outpour is always going to be massive. I mean, I don't think it's gossiping, isn't it? It's people gossiping, talking to strangers. It's a forum. It's just a giant forum of rumors and outrage and opinions. He was removed because the shows were pulled. I don't know.
The same show that he did at that same theatre a year previously to rave reviews suddenly now is too problematic, right? But look, we're going down a bit.
No, but sorry, it's just because I don't. It's because I don't. It's because I don't understand. Yeah, I don't really understand why that's happened to him. I don't know the story, but all I can do is the bit that I can identify with is how awful that must have been for him to go through. And I think what can be tough is no one like look at Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy Carr when Jimmy made that joke. The 3,000 people in the room laughed. I mean, he doesn't. If he knows. He can't tell the future. If he knows that's going to be, if what the reaction was going to happen, does he do that joke? Probably doesn't do that joke. So it's so tough. We live in a world where you don't know what the reaction's going to be. How can you not? He didn't know that was when Jimmy made that joke, he didn't know that was the line. That line hadn't been drawn. So he makes the joke and then they go, shh, no, you crossed the line. It's like, fuck, the line wasn't there. The fucking line wasn't there. Fuck! I didn't know that. If you told me that was the line before, I wouldn't have said it. So it is tough.
Francis, may I ask one more question?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is the brilliant point that you've made about Jimmy and the line, right? Because to me, the healthy attitude of society to comedy has always been, look, comedians are going to make mistakes all the time, right?
Yeah.
You're going to make a joke.
Yeah.
And we're constantly feeling where that line is, right?
In a room. Yeah, live, yeah.
Yeah. Or when you're doing something on YouTube or whatever like we do, right? You're constantly going, where is this line? Let's feel it out. Let's see if we can cross it. What happens here? But I feel that we've got to a position where it's like the moment you get past the line, it's no longer, that was, do you know how people used to go in a comedy club? And that was it. And you're, okay, that's a bit far.
Yeah, but dude, that's the comedy club. The reason that none of this can be in one of a better kind of sentence, basically, is calmed down. The reason that can't happen is because it's leaving the comedy club and it's going on to social media.
It's 7 a.m. on Good Morning Britain.
It's just, look, you can't resolve this. The thing you can control is what happens in the room.
Right.
That can be controlled.
But you don't control that anymore because you've got people with phones and all that shit, right?
Precisely. So I don't think this stops. I think it just
gets worse.
it just carries on and gets worse, and you have to kind of live with it. I mean, I listened to Tommy Tiernan talking to Adam Buxton a few months ago, and they were talking about, I think, a joke that Tommy got in trouble for about Jewish people. I think it was. And Adam Buxton had suggested maybe that comedians now need to not just think about, because the defense would always be like, but are you listening to what I mean? Because this is what happens when it goes on the internet. People interpret everything in the way they just interpret things, and they go, well, I think he means that. Why don't you actually think about what he or she is trying to say, as opposed to your interpretation of what are they actually just trying to say?
Right.
And then we'll just go with that, because they didn't mean anyone any harm.
Right.
This is what they were trying to say. But Adam Buxton was, and that's always been my kind of line, but
Yeah.
I don't think he really meant to hurt anyone's feelings. But with Adam Buxton suggested that maybe now we need to take into account what it could be perceived as. And I thought, oh God, that's interesting. See, by the way, this doesn't touch any of the stand-up I do. My stand-up, this is why I don't think about it that much.
Yeah.
And
the microwave stuff doesn't get affected.
Microwave stuff, what am I writing about? I've got a dog, and people stop you when you have a dog and they go, is it a boy or a girl? And you think, why did you want to fuck it? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the issues.
But I mean, you could go then into the trans stuff from the boy or girl, but
he doesn't.
But he don't.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't get anywhere near that. No. But because I don't think about that stuff.
Yeah.
But here's the point,
Yeah.
right? What something could be perceived as, isn't that just the death of comedy? Isn't that just you second and third and fourth guessing every piece of material that you write? If you start to think, well, hang on, well, then that could be perceived as this, but it could also be perceived as anything. Like, I'm someone with anxiety. I perceive a billion different things at the same fucking time.
Yeah.
That's why I'm crippled some of the time. You can't operate like that.
Well, but the room, you see, I try to not think past the room I'm playing to. And the room will let you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so,
but that's all I'm saying, man. That's how it always was. You are in the room, you do a joke, the audience pulls back, you go, that was too far for this audience in this room today. And you go, okay, I'll try it again.
By the way, I do, when I'm trying new stuff, I do sometimes say things where the crowd go like, oh, and you go, oh, okay, maybe not that.
Yeah, and you maybe try it again, you change the wording, you play around with it, and eventually, if it's a shit bit or if it's too offensive, you drop it.
Yeah.
That's how it was. But if every time you go too far, then suddenly the world descends upon you and ruins your life. That is going to affect your comedy, isn't it?
I imagine it will. Yeah.
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 That's all we're talking about.
No, I know it is, but I know it is, but I think if it's just, you have to, the audience isn't one thing. The public, we call it the public.
Yeah.
The audience. It's not one thing. It's made of individuals, and each every time you do a room, there's a different people in that room that are going to give you, a lot of the time, there might be a different reaction. What you're trying to do is you're trying to create you're trying to create a consistency, aren't you? You want, preferably going into every room and smashing every room. And that's generally impossible, even for the biggest and the best. But each gig is different. And the audience they'll let you know what they're up for that night. And I don't, I mean, could Tommy, now does he have to think about what it might be perceived as? But I suppose your responsibility changes, doesn't it? The bigger you are, it doesn't matter what an open spot is saying, but Tommy Tin, and then what happens is this weird thing happens that's always been the way, is that if you become a huge name, suddenly you're given, like you guys with this, this has grown, suddenly you're given this responsibility where people suddenly expect things from you. And that's just always been the way.
And what's it like to have that responsibility? Does it mean that suddenly you start second guessing, third guessing? Or do you just have to be a comedian and go, look, I'm going to say what I'm going to say?
I do, but I don't think I've ever had that. I was in the limelight, which meant it mattered not mattered, but you know what I mean? What I was saying was going to be picked up, but it wasn't, it's not like people are generally speaking coming to me about, for my opinion about everything. That's like a different...
Yeah.
It's a different game.
That's a different level. Like, when football managers start getting asked about Russia and Ukraine. And that suddenly it's like, what's happening? But it's just, we've always been like that. If you become really successful, almost at anything, suddenly you're meant to have actors. I mean, they're actors.
Yeah.
They want actors. We love knowing what an actor. This guy's been in an action film. Let's find out what he or she thinks about the war in Ukraine. It's just always been that way. I don't know why that is.
Yeah. Hey, KK, do you like podcasts?
No. In Russia, we don't have podcast. All we need are beautiful and true words of Uncle Vlad to guide us.
And how's that working out?
Not good, but still more trustworthy than BBC, Sky, CNN, Fox News and MSNBC.
Good point. But for those of you who do like a funny and informative podcast, then you've got to check out The Girlfriend Translator. The two co-hosts are women that answer all your questions.
Why ask women questions? Uncle Vlad says women are only for...
Because it gives men objective advice on the minefield that is dating and relationships in 2022. If you're wondering why she never called you back, why she lost interest, or simply how to become a better partner, then you have to check this show out.
She didn't call you back because you're not real man. You don't ride bear with shirt off.
Okay, mate, but it's not just for men. Ladies, you can listen and find out what makes men tick and an insight into male psychology.
There's only one answer to that.
Plus, it's funny and you get to ask the host questions. If you've ever had a situation in a relationship that has left you feeling confused and want an impartial point of view, then you need to check out The Girlfriend Translator.
Check out Girlfriend Translator wherever you get your podcast. I've never listened to it because it is appropriately banned in Russia.
We're all comedians, and a part of being a comedian, you alluded it to it yourself in your show, that you wanted to be a star, you wanted to be a...
It's embarrassing, yeah.
No, but it's honest. That's what was great about it, because that's what we all wanted to be when we're going in, a different type of star, but a star nevertheless.
Yeah. But
But having experienced it, was it all that it was cracked up to be?
Well, well, when you're in it, I certainly never viewed myself as a star, but you were, I was on television. I was recognisable. That's the word I feel comfortable.
If those 3 weeks had run forever, would you have been?
I would have been. Oh, it seems like that would have been bloody lovely.
Yeah.
Like I say in the show, I think I was walking down the street and people are going, "Good luck on Saturday." It was lovely. You go, "Cheers, mate. Thank you."
Yeah.
But no, and I'll tell you what's quite funny is I don't mention this in the show. I only did one gig in the time that I'd been on Strictly. So in that 3 weeks, I did one gig and got to feel the reaction of the crowd. They went nuts. It was,
really?
Man, it was what you dream of. I went out and the crowd were like, "Fuck, it's him!" And they went wild. And I was like I say, I felt like I had my power back. And
you didn't
an
need
amazing
punchlines.
Gig.
You didn't need punchlines, because anything you say is
just
funny.
Flying, it was amazing. And I did. It was like a film. I got to experience that once downstairs at Top Secret.
Oh man, it's a great room.
For 15 minutes, best in the country, Top Secret.
Yeah.
And hot water.
Yeah.
Up in Liverpool, but in London, Top Secret. So, and Bill Murray. Shout out to the Bill Murray Comedy Club. But just once for 10, 15 minutes to feel that, to walk off, and to become the #1 villain for the rest of the year.
But
that was it. I felt that once. It's fucking mental. It's crazy.
But isn't that the quintessential celebrity experience? You go from being this hero where everyone...
I had it condensed into just 3 weeks. Like that. Woohoo! Ah! Straight down.
Because you look at someone like Beckham, David Beckham, he went through the same thing where he was just like the hero, then in the 98 World Cup, everyone hated him. And that's what happens to a load of celebrities.
I wonder what that did to him. Did he ever write about what that did to him?
I don't know if he wrote, but I know he needed help
I bet.
to go through that.
Yeah.
And that was on an even bigger scale than yours, which was big,
of course,
big scale.
No, this was, oh my God, no, of course.
Yeah.
But what were we saying? What were we saying? So I was just telling you, I got to feel that once. Before that, throughout my 20s, I think I'll tell you what I've learned. If you're going to go it's the film. And what did he learn from going for all of that? I've learned the value of things in my life a lot more. I had no respect I didn't value anything I had. Came from often poor background, no money, you know, my dad waiting for the money to come in. Loved drugs, my dad. And, and so he'd be waiting for the money to come through, the cash point, so they could buy his drugs. and so then at 21 years of age, you suddenly, my friends were like working, I remember like Gabs is working in a bakery, and we're getting £127.50 for 20 minutes, or sometimes £149.50, sometimes 200 quid. Like, it was mind-blowing. I was getting paid £200 to do the thing I loved, whilst my mates were working 8 hours in a bakery. Like, it was unreal. So, but it meant that I didn't really learn the value at such a young age. When people know, you know, in your 20s, that's when you're broke, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're 20, yeah, not me. I wasn't broke. I went from earning circuit money in your early 20s, which was a lot back then, to then doing TV where you're earning like silly money, which I all spent on Ubers.
How much were you earning?
I think I earned, well, we're not going to go, you know, we're talking thousands of pounds. We're talking, for someone in their 20s, we're talking, you know, I didn't have to look at what a price of a coffee was, you know, even a t-shirt, like I just buy a t-shirt, it doesn't matter. I just buy a t-shirt. Like, I know it's only a t-shirt, but to be at that age where you're not looking at to not look, that's such a small thing. But I wasn't looking, that's not someone that's valuing things.
No.
There's no value, you pick that, I'll buy that. That's how I was with life. I didn't value anything. I got chucked from no money to money. So I didn't have that bit which you were meant to have in your life as a student who then goes into work, which is, okay, this is how much I'm getting this week. I'm going to need this. I better put this aside. I'm going to buy this, the food here. Some of my friends always lived, and I didn't. It wasn't. I just couldn't. I couldn't connect to them. I couldn't. You can't teach yourself that. If you suddenly be given loads of money and you had none, and you didn't. I didn't come from, you know, traditional family. So that wasn't really instilled in me, even if they tried. So you didn't learn the value of anything. When that's all taken away from you, so now you're not earning the big bucks because you're finding it difficult to get work, and then everyone thinks you're a cunt, so they're not coming to see your shows. And that's turned around a little bit. But suddenly, you've really got to learn the value of money, friendship, everything. You really learn to weigh up the value of things. So when you're talking about my 20s, what was it like? I don't really know. I wasn't assessing this. I was just going through it. I was just getting doing shit face. Where are we going? What are we doing? There was no value. And remember, I kind of expected it weirdly. That arrogant, that young. I've been wanting to do this since I was 10. So this was what I expected of myself. And then also, it wasn't really the stuff I wanted to do. I wanted to be a comic, Jim Carrey, and be doing things like, farcical, Fawlty Tower style sitcoms. And I was on panel shows. It all kind of went a bit wrong somehow. But it's when you reflect and you realize, God, I didn't value any of that. And I didn't value, like I walked out the second time I did Live at the Apollo, the second one. So I did 3 times, which is amazing. And the second time I did it, I tell you what, I bet I was told I was doing that. And I was like, cool. And then I went up and I did it. And I didn't even stay and watch. I literally did my second Live at the Apollo, had a fantastic time talking about Jaeger bombs and being hungover and having, when you have to go up, when you get a round double-decker bus and it's packed downstairs, and then you've got to make that call. Shall I go upstairs? Or shall I stay down here? And then so you go, right, I'm good, fuck it, I'll risk it. I'll see if there's a seat upstairs. And then you have to do that, walk up the stairs, and you turn round and it's packed. And now you have to do the walk of shame back down the stairs where everyone is waiting for you going, yeah, we knew. It's London, everyone knew that was packed. No
nice try, dickhead.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I finished that and I went home and I never thought about it again. There was no appreciation of these amazing things I was doing. Whereas obviously with what happened with Strictly, everything after that, there's such an appreciation. I did Royal Albert Hall on Tuesday. Was it last Tuesday or the Tuesday before? And there's such a, I'm looking around like, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is amazing. And you value everything. So that's been really good for me. Do you understand what I communicate? I don't know
100%.
Yeah, and I think I didn't have that in my 20s. There was no appreciation of fucking anything, and it's nice to be able to really value my life. I love my life. My life outside of comedy, because when you're young, all it is about comedy. And now I love my time off stage. I love my time in West London where I live, and I have a day off, and I fucking love it. And I never used to. I used to just be hungover and going, oh fuck, I've got a gig on Tuesday. Oh fuck. You know?
Are you glad you went through it?
It's you kind of want to the Hollywood answer would be yes, and you want to go like, yeah, it made me a better person, but I think that it would have been nicer to have had an easier route. You can't be glad you went through that. It was no.
You know, Sean, I don't think it's possible to have the life that you had without having some kind of crash.
That's true.
I don't.
Everyone thinks that.
I don't think it was possible because that lack of presence with your life that you talk about for in the 20s.
Yeah.
It was always gonna, because you and I speak from personal experience.
Sure.
You're too arrogant. You're too arrogant. you start to think you're everything. Am I wrong?
When were you feeling this?
I was feeling it in different things that I was doing.
Do you still have it?
What, the arrogance?
Yeah.
A little bit.
You do have it.
But it's been tempered now.
Do you have it?
No, life beat the shit out of me. Life beat the living shit.
There's a Libertines line. I've got a quote. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a Libertines line, and I made it my Twitter bio, and I actually took it down because I thought, if I got an audition in America, which I sometimes get, they might see this and think, what the fuck does that mean? And then they'll look back at the Strictly stuff. But Pete Doherty, Libertines line, which is boy kicked out of the world kicked back a lot fucking harder now.
Yeah.
That for me, that was what I felt like when I was going through that Strictly stuff. That I should get that as a tattoo. It's like I brought up, dad off his nut and drugs, went to school, didn't get a GCSE, but ended up playing the O2 Arena. Like I felt like, you know, in a business that is full of middle class.
Yeah.
Middle class everywhere, middle class people, private school people, a lot of people that just their life is handed to them. But I've come in through this other route, and then the world just went bang.
Yeah.
Fuck off. And I'm like, oh God, that hurt. I know how you feel.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know, when you asked me, I initially just gave you my story was
go on.
No, it was much simpler. My parents, when I was born, my mum had been 18 for 3 days. My dad was 20. They were both students, really poor in Soviet Russia. Fast forward a few years, my dad becomes a mini oligarch, shit tons of money, send me to private school in England. You know, son, don't worry. I was like, maybe I should get a job while I'm at school. Just, no, don't worry about it. Just get the grades. You go to university, get the grades. You're going to go to a big financial company, company house, company car, company wife, like everything taken care of. And by the time I was 18, my dad had lost all his money for reasons we don't get. It's too long a story, right? And I was sleeping in a park.
Just loved getting bang on the gear.
Sleeping in a park.
Sleeping in a car.
In a park.
In a park?
Around the corner of the venue where I did my first Edinburgh show. Around the corner. I was in university in Edinburgh. And I was sleeping in that park for 3 weeks, just trying to get my shit together. So that arrogance just gone in 3 weeks. All that, oh, I'm the top of the world, I'm special, I'm different, I'm this, I'm that. No, you're right fucking here in the park.
That's quite the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it happens quickly. So I know that feeling very well. And
that's very young as well.
Very young. And I'm glad it happened that young, because all that would have happened to me is what happened to you. I would have just built my ego even more. I would have thought I would have got bigger and bigger in my own head and in the world. Because I was smart, I was talented, I would have made it through and I would have been bigger and bigger and bigger. But I'm glad of that. And I think there will come a time when you're glad of what you went through as well.
Remember that I also, I see what you're saying. Remember, I also caused a lot of pain. There were other people involved in mine, which, you can't ever, I think everyone, as far as I can tell, everyone involved has gone on and is having a good time and doing well for themselves.
But you split up. She split up with her husband, didn't she?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
They got divorced, and I think I mean, I try and stay away from anything that is it's attached to that whole time in my life. But I think everyone who's involved in that is doing well, and I wish them well. And I think that, but it just makes it a bit difficult. So it makes it easier that you can look back and think, oh, I'm glad that happened. But you also have to always live with, you still caused quite a lot of, kind of, you cause a wreckage in your path. So can I be glad it happened to me? Maybe. Let's see where this ends up. But,
But also, with other people, look, you got to take responsibility for your actions.
Yeah.
But they got to take responsibility for their actions.
Well, I'm not getting involved. I'm not saying that. Mental. Yeah.
That's going to be the title of the episode, Sean. She needs to take responsibility for her actions.
But it's true, man.
Sean Morse.
No.
Yeah, that is obviously
we won't go there.
This is not my fault. Yeah.
No. But I look. These things that happen in life, they're very important, man. They're very important. They're very important, and the work you will do later in your life will be better for it.
Well, yeah. Well,
it will be.
Yes,
it will be.
And the Kiss is a brilliant show. It's on YouTube.
Thank you very much.
It's available for free. People can go and watch it.
Yes, stick it on YouTube.
And are you touring as well?
We're touring. I've got a podcast called What's Upset You Now. It's only 15 minutes long. You can hear that, and there's an extended episode on Patreon. But check out the if people are watching and they want to know more about what it was we were talking about, even though I think they've heard enough. There is a comedy version of it, Kiss, on YouTube.
And also as well, I think it's important to say that I remember the first time I saw you do comedy, and I was blown away. I thought you were just absolutely brilliant. And when I said the most naturally talented comedian on stage, I meant it.
Oh, thanks, man.
When I've seen you live,
I'm crying a minute.
That's the purpose. That's how we like to end the show.
Yeah.
But I always say that when everyone goes to me, what's Sean like? I got the most naturally talented comedian I've ever seen.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I've seen you crush it at festivals, Cat Laughs, where you've been a few times while I was there. You're a great live comic, and I really recommend people get a ticket and come and see you.
Oh, thank you so much. Been lovely to chat. And thanks for having me on.
Before we let you go, though, we've got some questions from our local supporters, which we'll ask you after the interview. But the last question we always ask is, what's the one thing we're not talking about that we really should be?
I think, yes, this is important, is one thing I think that we need to clear up as, and I don't know if it's a national problem or a global problem, but the word next, when you say, I'll meet you next Thursday, some people think next Thursday is the Thursday coming, and some people think next Thursday is the Thursday the following week, the next week, is that Thursday. And I think we need to get this cleared up because it's causing a lot of confusion. And someone came to meet me recently, and I thought that they meant the next. I thought they meant the week after. Do you know what I'm saying? What do you think next is?
I think when someone goes next Thursday.
If I'm meeting you, I'm going to meet you. I'm going to meet you next Tuesday.
Right. It
depends on what day you're in.
Yeah.
It now depends what day we're in.
Yeah.
This is chaos. This is what I'm saying. We need to get this cleared up.
Hold on. I don't think it's as complicated as you're making out to be.
It is as complicated. I was meant to be on Talk Sport to do a radio, and I didn't make it because I had said next Thursday, and then they text me on the Thursday of that week, and they said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Sorry, I thought you meant next. I thought you meant the week after." Because I thought that most people think the week after. So I changed what I thought it meant to fit them. Because I actually think, though despite I did that, I actually think next is just the next. It's the next. It's not, of course, imagine you're at a queue in a shop and you're at the front of the queue and the guy behind the counter said next and the guy behind you walked round. You would think, what the fuck are you doing? He said next, I'm next, you're not next. So can we just get this solved, please? What do you think next is?
I've never seen them this angry, mate.
These are the real issues. These are the things that make getting through life tough. And this is what I'm trying to sort out. What is next?
Well, that's what we're going to be talking about on the next episode.
The next episode. No, what do you think next is?
It means next Thursday. It means not this Thursday, the one after.
Well, it's Thursday today, so that's confusing.
Yeah.
So, all right, so next Tuesday.
I think it's a Tuesday afterwards.
You think that next Tuesday
Yeah.
is... Look at you, you've never... What do you think?
We've had Jordan Peterson on the podcast.
No, this is...
We've had Douglas Murray, some of the greatest thinkers in the history of the modern world.
Well, get Jordan Peterson to sort out when next is. Do you have contact with Jordan?
I do.
Can you find out what he thinks next Tuesday is?
I'll do my best and I'll let you know, mate.
Please.
We will do.
You don't seem to be taking it seriously. When do you think next Tuesday is?
Next Tuesday, it's the coming Tuesday now.
Thank you, because it's the next Tuesday.
Yeah. But
you think it's the Tuesday afterwards?
But Sean,
yeah. See, this is a problem with the language.
But if today was Monday and you said next Tuesday, that would be the Monday after this coming Tuesday.
Oh yeah, Tuesday can't be tomorrow.
No.
You can't say next Tuesday if it's tomorrow.
It depends
no, that's
on the
insanity.
day you're in. Depends on the day you're in, just like I said.
Right, yeah, no, but only if the day you're in
I'm
is the
sorry
day
you
before.
didn't make it to talk radio.
No.
I'm really, really sorry. But it's not the fault of the world. It's yours.
It's the fault. No, it's the fault of the language. We've got one word that is meaning different things.
This has gone in a completely unexpected direction, Sean.
It needed to be spoken about.
There we go.
And we're doing it now.
That's why we asked the big questions here. Guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. Make sure to follow Sean on all the socials and check out his special. It's called Kiss. It's on YouTube. We'll put a link to it in the description. We're going to ask a couple of your questions for Sean on our locals that only our supporters will see. In the meantime, thanks for watching.
Where do I look? I don't know when to look when you're doing that.
You're not going to be on
Stop
camera,
talking.
mate.
We don't want to hear any more from you about next.
I don't know when to look in when you're...
Okay.
Just look somewhere.
For those
Bye.
of you, no, it's also available as a podcast. Fuck me. We've had Jordan Peterson on the show. Anyway.
It was actually Will Smith punching Chris Rock in the face. And there are people that are going, yeah, but would you let someone say that about your partner? You're like, they wouldn't have to. I would have done it. I would have come in and been like, look, it's the old ball and chain. It was mad.